Maverick traders, welcome out to your currency recap, February 5th. Corey here with you. Let's have some fun. We're going to go through the markets and what meaningful news was out today or even for this weekend, being that it's Monday. There was Powell speaking on 60 Minutes on Sunday. We'll talk about that a bit. We'll talk about sector rotations, where currencies are evolving, where is the money flowing, and then we'll always highlight our best crypto and forex trade setups. So let's get to it.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So kind of an interesting day today as we look at things. Mixed picture. Pound gave some ground. US dollar strengthened some. The news over the weekend was Fed Chair Powell spoke on 60 Minutes and was a bit hawkish. Futures turned negative and people just said, well, doesn't sound like they're going to raise rates or cut rates, anytime too soon. Certainly it looks like March is off the table. Probably not the next meeting. They're looking into the summer months before we start to see rate cuts. And that's with big Wall Street banks expecting multiple rate cuts. Goldman Sachs came into this year expecting the Fed to cut rates 5 times. So certainly a little different than people had expected. RBA meeting is out tonight. No rate changes are expected. But of course, you never know for sure. So tune in. As we look at the currency recap here, British pound down, US dollar up, but really kind of a quiet sideways day in currencies. If we turn to the other markets, really oil bouncing back, and oil has been counter to equities. So when these other assets are going up, oil's had a tendency to go down. When markets are a little soft, oil goes up. It's just really moving in a directionally against some of the other markets. So that's kind of an interesting, it's not always the way, but that's certainly been the case recently. Litecoin slightly higher, but a quiet day for crypto. And we're going to take a closer look at those charts. So equities continue to push to the upside, still in this runaway bull market. That can turn in a hurry, as the old saying goes, risk happens fast, but don't try to guess to where it's going to happen. Don't try to get out in front of a speeding bus and make it change directions. Let's wait for some signs. We have to trust that we know it when we see it. So what are some things that I would look for? Well, certainly a blow off top. If you were to really accelerate away from the moving averages and have a big, huge bullish candle up here, then that would be a sign of exhaustion. Other signals would be indicator divergences. We're starting to see that where equities are making new highs, but things like the RSI indicator are making lower highs, and that's called a bearish divergence. So you are starting to see the beginning of a likely turn, but it could finish with just kind of a blow off top first, and then we turn down. That's the concern of shorting or getting bearish or anything of that sort. So we have to wait for the markets to really confirm before we jump in there. As we said, Fed Chair Powell spoke this weekend. We've got ISM services that beat expectations this morning. We've got the RBA rate statement out tonight. Expectations are to keep rates unchanged at 4.35%. And then things quiet down. A little bit of employment data out of New Zealand on Tuesday. We've got some employment data out of Canada on Friday. But this week was pretty much front-loaded, and then it gets really quiet. Not a lot on the economics to move currencies or crypto or anything that way. As we look at where there's strength and weakness, US dollar, I did the Fed meeting, and when we did the Fed meeting, I talked about my thesis was the Fed was not going to be as dovish. They weren't going to come in and cut rates. I compared them to someone like a golfer that's already screwed up and they don't want to make the same mistake twice and hit it in the water twice. Well, they screwed up inflation. So the market's idea that they were just going to come in and aggressively cut rates just never made sense to me. And if they're not, and if they're going to be more hawkish, that is bullish for the US dollar, right? They're not cutting rates as aggressively as soon as markets had priced in. So that was part of my thesis when we were trading the Fed meeting as an example. We were looking at long US dollar trades. I still think that makes more sense. If you're trading crypto, I think it's sideways. I think we're starting to see the beginnings of a bearish move. So we're going to take a closer look at that as well. All right, so possible trade ideas. I'm going to start in currencies, and I'm going to highlight the Swiss franc here. So the Swiss franc is a little more defensive historically. It has consolidated for multiple weeks, and you could make the argument has a little mini cup and handle, or if you want to call it an ascending triangle, I'm okay with that too. Any way you slice it, this tends to be a bullish setup. You have consolidated what was a nice run higher. You have rested and you're poised for the breakout. So whether you call it a cup and handle, whether you call it an ascending triangle, both point to a short-term move up above that resistance zone. So first, we want to see it hold where it's holding right now, start to pivot to the upside, and as soon as it starts to turn bullish here, I'd be a buyer. You can take some profit off on the actual breakout or set a target up here if you wanted to be more aggressive. Crypto, I think, is set up really nicely for a risk to reward on the downside. You had uptrend lines back here that were broken, and once broken, now things flip, right? You were in the process of higher highs and higher lows and higher highs and higher lows, and now it's reversed. Lower lows, we just set a lower high, and another lower low should be coming in the not too distant future. Notice the downward sloping moving averages. Notice the bearish crossovers. This is Ethereum, and I think we're going to see some downside in crypto in the very near future. So color me, for the first time in quite some time, a crypto short-term bear, anticipating that new lows are coming in Ethereum specifically, and some of those other plays as well. We've got the RBA out tonight. We've got, not too much on the economic side, so it's going to be more about trading the charts, more about the technicals. Hope you've enjoyed this currency recap. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.